usage or less water usage from what we were previously. The reason I asked that is because I went back through my bills this afternoon, and looked, and my water usage is actually about 300 to 500 gallons less. Kind of on an average. I didn't go through and total them all and divide them, but they looked, I mean, recently in the past 3 to 4 months, that they are considerably lower than what they were years previous for the same summer months.
The amount of water.
The amount of water.
We track that every month. So I send Nora a build consumption report. And then she matches that to what she actually produced at the plant
Yeah.
and what went out, so that we are tracking what was billed, what she treated, and if there's any difference. But that is tracked every month. We've been doing that for 3, 4 years.
Right.
How long have I been here? It was shortly after I started.
Check the balance.
We started doing
So
that, so
even-
I can provide that to you
Even
guys.
before.
Yeah, we did it before the new meters and we continue with the new meters.
But with the new meters, is it showing that we are using? That the water usage is actually more than what was being billed previously or less?
No, we're actually trending pretty close to, and it does fluctuate a little bit like summer to winter, but we're not trending much different before the meters than what we are now.
We're supposed to be using less water.
I do think that new meters, yeah, I think they are making people more aware and we're able to catch things much faster. Like if you had a toilet leaking, it would potentially go 30 days, where now we can call you and say you have continuous consumption after a 24-hour period. So you're getting that toilet fixed on day 2 instead of day 22.
And I think
So that does
That
affect
very
it
well could be where mine
significantly.
was at, where it was more a year ago, because I did replace. A stool and it did some of that repairs over the winter time, this past winter, so. That very well could be,
Do you guys mind if we pump the brakes on this one, and since we had that schedule, we got. Only one on schedule, we come back to this and get them in here, talk if they want. to.
Oh, you think, oh, yeah, let's do that. Yeah. Sorry.
Kind of so this time that way that they can catch it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Move on to the, getting out, I'll let you start on this, I'm sure we all have our things.
But I'm not honestly sure, are you guys all here for Little League, or is there a main?
I am, yeah, I mean, Shannon is too,
Bill.
Okay, so I had reached out to Bill for the baseball side of Little League, and I had reached out to Philip Bloom for the softball side of Little League. I know Phil could not be here, he apologized, he really wanted to be. He can meet another night, I told him we kind of get it going from here, so he was gonna send some individuals, it sounds like, to represent him, but you guys wanna introduce yourself? I'm not even sure I know everybody.
Wells.
What was it, sorry?
Clinton Wells.
And Shannon Ashmeyer.
and I'm Tyler Gilson.
All right, thanks you guys for being here. So again, kind of just explaining a little bit, we're definitely appreciating, we see the value in everything that all the entities, whether it's Boy Scouts or Little League, all these sort of little ad hoc committees and groups that do for the town. Obviously, we're not trying to poo-poo any guys, but everything does come at a cost. And with inflation, everything else, water rate increases, all that stuff, people are very cognizant, people are keeping a very strict eye on what we're spending on and where we're at. I kind of alluded to this at budget time a few months ago, that we need to sit down and really look at what we're spending and what we're spending on or how we allocate. So again, as much as we would love to, we don't have all the money to pull stuff off. And we do contribute quite a bit from our general fund and our building budget to the Little League, Boy Scouts, to et cetera. So again, we've had a dialogue with the library and we separate ourselves from that. So again, we're not trying to come down on you or make us feel uncomfortable or anything like that. It's just a reality of we really need to talk at our budget and we can afford what we can afford. So we're talking, I got my 2012 budget with me, and I was having to go back and look at the increases from, what we spent on, you know, pool operations or little league or et cetera from as the years progress and things, much like everything else in our lives has especially exponentially increased, you know, almost 2 or 3 times just over the last 10 or 15 years. So again, being cognizant of where we're spending our taxpayer funds and how we're being efficient, how we're being fair across the board. You know, we can only pay for so much. We're talking about an 80,000 or setting aside $60,000 this year just to help pave the farmer parking lot. That's what it's a $200,000 project. So again, you know, pool increases, costs are up, and again, I know I'm repeating myself, but we've seen all these large scale increases in what we're funding. And I guess my point is inviting you here to say, how do we work together? How do we continue to contribute, but also say, okay, these entities are also gonna have to help pony up and sort of say, you know, is this feasible on both sides to make it fair across the board? So I guess that's my start on the dialogue. I don't know if any of you else want to fight them on it, but just trying to be transparent, like we said. And again, we're not trying to say, oh, we're not gonna fund you or we're not gonna do this. But again, just be very cognizant of, we have to really look at the books so we can spend responsibly for our residents.
So I guess one question would be year over year, how much money goes from the general fund or whatever into the Little League? Like, what is the contribution of the village of Blissfield, I guess, to Blissfield Little League in terms of both Bachmeyer and Farver? And I guess second part of that question is, I know we've talked about the parking lot and everything, where does that needing to be replaced come from? And then I guess how could we as a Little League help offset some of that cost, whether it's soliciting donations, et cetera? You know, I mean, like you said, we should try and work together with that. So, you know, first part, I guess, how much do you guys, you know, spend on it? And the second part,
Yeah, and then kind of feeding off that, we did have that dedicated fund that was a Little League donation back in the day where you guys can kind of offset costs with some improvements, things like that. We got some major large scale improvements that need to be done, dugout drainage, et cetera.
Yeah.
So again, we decided to get rid of that fund and allow us to help utilize that to make those large scale repairs.
Yeah.
So again, for thinking we're not gonna have that fund sitting there either, we're gonna be able to say, let's take a little bit out of the foundation fund and fix what we need.
Mhm.
So, let me see here, if we can find it. Daniel, do you
So
have?
Bachmeyer Little League, we spend about $30,000 a year.
Okay.
And that would include, so the baseball side, I think, takes most of the field, and Bill, you correct me if I'm wrong. But we take care of, like we would fill the bathrooms, empty the trashes, we clean like around there, so that includes all of that, so some of that. May not be directly related to Little League, and I just wanna make sure you guys know that, because there's that playground there, like that would include maintenance there. But that's no capital, that's just taking care of things. It's gonna be a little bit harder at Ellis Park, so on the softball side, you guys really take care of that field 100%. We don't do anything with that back softball field. The only thing that we do that you guys, I believe, use are the bathrooms, and those are needing quite a bit of work, I think.
It shows.
It shows. And that's in the old pool house building, and then we obviously take care of the front one, so in our. I'm sorry, what's that?
Softball field, like Rotary.
No, that is I'm over at Ellis now,
Okay.
so the softball field at Ellis, you guys mow that, we don't do any of that.
Should be a little bit back.
Yes, the rotary field at Atlas, not the front field, because you guys don't use the front field for softball, correct? Yeah, so just the rotary field at Ellis, we do not mow or do, you guys fully take care of that. And I think even have a shed over there that has your mower and things in it. And Bill has like kind of kept me in the loop, and but you guys really take care of that, and I think Rotary's helped you a little bit here and there, but not much. And we did.
It's not even irrigated. Softball field.
Yeah, and a couple years ago, we did help you guys with some funding to fix the dugout roof. So that. Yeah, we bought some materials, and then you guys helped get some volunteer labor to actually do that work. So our total Ellis Park budget isn't really, I can tell you what it is, it's just not really fair to say that it's Little League or softball groups, but the total is 65 roughly annually, but again, that's all of Ellis Park, so, yes,
6,500,
65,000.
that's, okay,
I'm sorry if I
no,
said.
no, you did not, that's a little wait.
Well, going back to the Little League, you know, we're talking about 41,500 for press box upgrades. That's pretty much the unnormal, right? Everything else, you know, the normal operations. that
Can we
would be-
stop for just a
Sorry.
second? I only say this because he's trying to write all this down.
No, I'm good,
Are
I'm
you sure?
good, yes.
I'm just, so I guess, before we go any further, I feel like you guys don't have you need to see the paperwork that we see, you know what I'm saying? And they don't, you guys probably never see that,
Never, no.
so that's
Yeah,
right there,
that's what,
like.
that's what I'm trying to break down
That's what
here,
we
yeah,
do.
yeah.
But I guess what I'm trying to say is this, is that there hasn't been the dialogue, so you don't even see the paperwork.
Yeah.
So you don't even have an idea of how much money has been being generated.
Feels good.
Yeah,
To compound that, we have a whole brand new board.
that's what I was just gonna say, all of us, this was our first year.
The people that were here previous are all gone now. We're all brand new.
So I guess we need to actually make a copy or copies of what we've spent or what the money's to be capital improvements. They don't even know what our capital improvement plan is because you guys are so new on board.
Yes.
I understand. Okay,
Yes.
I.
So I guess if it would be possible for that to get a copy of the bill, and then Bill could probably disseminate a copy to the rest of the Little League board.
Well,
Well, I mean, you have the budget, I can break it down for you though, very easily.
I think that'd be a great thing if it was just broken down so that each entity could see what's going towards and what the capital.
And I didn't prepare anything, so I'm gonna be really honest, I wasn't 100%
No, no,
sure
no.
where you guys wanted to direct this or how this conversation was gonna go. So I mean, I did pull a ton of information because I was trying to find like, is there agreements or things that are in place that we should all know about? So I can share it's very minimal, what I found on that. And I did send that out, actually, you guys all have that already on council, but the only thing I can find is that we have a mowing agreement for Bachmeyer Little League Park, saying that the baseball will mow that field and take care of it. We don't have anything for Barber, we don't have anything for the Rotary field that I can find. I'm not saying those never existed, they may have, but Lisa searched high and low, I've searched, Brent has searched, Lisa looked again today. So if we had it at one point, we don't
But
have
it's funny, but I'm kind of wondering, is this, I know we want to have this discussion tonight. We're ready to have this discussion tonight because you guys don't have all that paperwork.
Yeah.
To be able to have that discussion tonight. And perhaps if they got that paperwork, then they could see what the improvement plans are, what the numbers are. Then we could go ahead and actually have some dialogue because.
Well, we
Yeah.
can have a little bit here.
Well, I'm not saying
We're
that-
talking about,
Right,
you
right.
know, the things from the trust funds, the major improvements, the capital improvements that you want to do are mostly paid for out of the trust fund. For this fiscal year, this adopted fiscal year, that's about 41,500 approximately. On top of that, and then we've got a 66,900, so 67,000 towards Little League or Bachmeyer. Okay, so then take that away, take those improvements away, you're at about a $25,000 operations cost that the village is contributing with mowing with, and again.
For Bachmeyer.
For Bachmeyer specifically, that, you know, that's our wages, our benefits.
So I guess the question was that, sorry, Bill, but we mow everything that we do at Bachmeyer. We take care of everything inside the fence.
Okay.
So if you were to stop paying for that, then what happens with the park, I guess, is the thing, because we use it for 2.5, 3 months out of the year, maybe. You know, and we take care of everything that we deal with. The only thing inside, I guess, the fence the village would pay for is the water right now, the electric when we use it, which is essentially very minimally. You know, so I guess out of that 41,500, yes, it looks great. That everything around it is mowed and all that, but would that stop if you stop funding Little Leagues? You know, and where does that money go? I guess is the
Yeah,
question.
your water's about 36. Electric's about 1,000, and sewer 2,000, but again, you're just a portion of that, because you got the bottles playground, you've got the bathrooms, et cetera.
Yes.
Which is kind of, again, it's not real clear how we break that down, you're literally inside the fence.
Yeah, that's,
Beyond the 2 or 3 months that you use the bathrooms, et cetera.
So Little League is a self-governing entity with support from the village. Is that how it's, but we oversee the funds? We oversee the big Farber funds?
No,
I don't know.
we do not oversee their funds. They are fully
Facilities.
responsible for their funds. The only thing we oversee is any, like, because they're located on village-owned property. So we own the buildings, so Barber Field, Bachmeyer Little League has the press box concessions building. We own that building. We're responsible for maintaining that and taking care of it. We're responsible for everything outside of that field. We have historically contributed to dugout replacement, or not replacement, but maintenance. I don't think they've been replaced for, I don't think maybe ever, but maintenance, things like that. So that's where I think maybe it gets a little bit like they, at Farber, I know for, I'm not as familiar with Bachmeyer Little League. At Farber, everything in that building, they, like the concessions, they all own that. They bought that, their mowers are in there. The village did not fund any of that, but the building itself, the village owned. So like the village just painted the building, for example, or like the bathrooms were all clogged. The village had that cost of going in and fixing those. We do pay the water, the electric. So it gets a little bit.
which is also kind of a murky area, because this spring we had other issues with the plumbing and Little League paid for that. You know, so there's I guess, a breakdown in communication potentially there. You know, but we're still responsible, I think, for most of the stuff inside Harbor, you know, whereas besides the big stuff, I guess, but.
And Farber is a little bit different when we're talking about that too, so that is just the field. In the event that Little League no longer use that field, the deed actually says that that property will revert back to Blissfield Manufacturing. So the village of Blissfield owns it right now for the length of time that it runs and operates as a Little League field. So if Little League were to say, we can't afford to take care of this field anymore, Blissfield says, we're not gonna pay for it for you, it would just go back to them.
Just for your information there, Farber, we're looking at about an $89,000 budget for this fiscal year. That's setting aside 60 to repay the parking lot, right? And that was, 2 or 3, 4 year process of setting aside some funds to do that. So you're looking at about a $29,000 just to maintain that facility itself, and which is strictly Little League baseball, for the maintenance and the operations on the village side of that facility.
I highly suggest you drilling down into those numbers, because I'd be astonished to hear that the village pays that amount to maintain farming. All they do is go outside and collect the trash, and they barely do that.
Yeah, I mean, it's broken down, James, the DPW wages, we got 5,000 plus other benefits, which kind of, is approximately a little less than 50%.
You're also talking
Talking about
for the
electric,
whole year.
water,
You're talking.
Yes, that is-
Mowing and maintenance for
yeah.
the whole year.
Yeah.
Okay.
yes, grounds and repairs, equipment rental, and then insurance. Period. So. About, say 50,000, or just a little bit under, for those 2 facilities for the year. Yes, you got the bottles playground a little bit, more on the Bachmeyer side. But again, say 30, 35, $40,000 probably for the 2 Little League facilities. Just throw numbers out.
And if you're looking for ways to save money, you might want to outsource mowing. Because that's an astronomical number for mowing, what could be done for.
Just as an example, we have a contracted mowing service that does both Barber and Bachmeyer. And he's paid by quarters for it.
50 a month.
All right. So, it goes a couple times a week.
That's inside the fence.
Yeah. So I don't know how much you would charge from outside the funds. Say, for a brand.
And again, we just, again, try to be transparent. We want you guys to understand, you know, it is an exponential cost. And we're not saying we're gonna do anything, but again, just be on the radar that we're discussing this kind of thing, just so that you know. And we totally get how hard it is for people to contribute these deeds. Everybody's knocking on the doors, whether it's DDA or Girl Scouts or whatever, all that kind of stuff. People always want money, right? As well as the time that's spent on, you know, you guys trying to maintain the facilities on your own or do a travel ball, et cetera. We get how ugly and difficult it is. So again, we're not here to say close the books on this stuff, but again, we need to have that dialogue of how do we work together to pull these things up.
I'd like to have that dialogue again, when Danielle, you have the opportunity to drill down those numbers. To go ahead and so we can all sit at the table, we can say, hey, this is what we think our responsibilities are. Oh, well, we thought these were our responsibilities because all that is just really ambiguous right now, and that way we can have some clarity, and then hopefully, I'm sure as you guys coming on board, you're having to relearn things, and there's things you shouldn't have to relearn because they were never there. And that we need that, I think, in some kind of a formation, in some kind of a form, so that we're all talking apples with apples. I would like to revisit with you guys.
I agree, yeah, this has been good. And I guess, you know, the second part of my question is that where does the parking lot come from? Where does that 200,000 come from? Where does that, like, where did that emanate from, I guess?
The cost itself, I mean,
The cost itself and the need, I guess, to, who said, okay, we need to rip this up and completely replace it, I guess where did all of that come from? Because that just kind of slapped us in the face of.
Is it a safety issue or just a cosmetic thing? I don't, you know, we walk out there, I don't see holes per se in the ground, but I do see cracks where weeds are going through.
So we had a contractor look at that a couple of years ago. And if they said it'd have to be, the base is not good, so that's why the cost is so high. Because you can't just go overlay it, which would be the ideal thing if we had a good base, we would just overlay it, help get rid of those cracks so that weeds aren't, and aesthetically it look better. But as far as priority, I don't know, I mean, like we said internally what that is, and then council kind of goes through all of the capital projects. And 3 years ago, they said, let's start allocating money because we don't want to get to the point where it's a safety issue. So I think it was James, I'm gonna call you out a little bit, sorry, but I think James actually is the one that said, hey, let's start putting money away so that down the road in 5, 6, 7 years, we can say, okay, we've got all the money to fund this project. And we can get that done rather than in 5, 6 years saying, how are we gonna pay for this? We've known about it for 6 years and it's a safety issue. So
That's all I wanted, I just didn't know.
And that is- yeah, and that is funded through our general fund. So our general fund is majority, that's paid through property taxes.
Yep.
But then somebody saying, hey, we're gonna do that, where'd that come from?
And that's one of those things where I wonder if we could solicit a public-private partnership, you know what I mean, where we find. Contractor potentially, you know what I mean, that we work together, you know, to kind of offset some of that cost. As a Little League, so it's not like, hey, taxpayers fund all this for us, you know what I mean? That's why I think it's important that we're all here, I guess, you know.
Absolutely, and I'm not trying to open a can of worms with this either, again, it's trying to be equitable across, I think that we're being fair across the board, because, you know, we're talking about, you know, if we ask this gentleman here, what do you think, you know, he's probably irate that the Little League gets so much, and it seems like the softball literally kind of gets the crap, right? I mean, that's just the way that it appears, and it's probably very true, unfortunately. Or why do the Boy Scouts get funded this building, and we probably contribute nothing to the Girl Scouts, right? So again, how many entities can we really self-support as a village efficiently, effectively, responsibly, financially? Yeah. Until people start knocking on the door and saying, well, we need to be equal about this, and you know, and we keep as much as we would love to pay for everything, we just don't.
Much as I'd love you to pay for everything, I pay enough in taxes, I think, you know what I mean? It's to be, you know, I mean, yes.
Getting people to understand, yes.
I think it's important to understand how the deeds look, though. the farmer deed is fairly interesting, I think the Boy
Boy
Scout
Scout is very interesting.
is also interesting.
That's an interesting
So
one.
I think for discussion purposes, bring those deeds back up so that we all understand how it's.
I'll share those with the budget as well. So,
Because Bachmeyer is part of the park system. A
yes.
farmer is deeded completely separate from the village and the ownership rights, like you said, revert. So, and then who knows what happens after they sell this for manufacturing.
Yeah,
What if they were separate?
Right, you don't know, but
So,
that's
yeah.
part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, does that need a little break? I mean, not yet. Same with the Boy Scout camp, how do you give it back to somebody's grandparents that have been offered, you know, years, really, I mean, do these people even exist? Does this family want this back, et cetera, so.
yeah, because that's another one that is supposed to
It's-
revert.
It's very, yeah.
What's your last name again?
Gilson, GILS.
And Clint, you were Clint Wells, right?
Correct.
And then Shannon, I'm sorry, please spell your last name, please.
Sure. ASCHEMEIER.
Okay, say, all right, now pronounce it for us.
Ashmeyer.
Ashmeyer, gotcha, okay, thank you, thanks, Shannon.
Do you have a proposal of what you want to come back in that yet?
No, again, it's just. At budget time when we're saying. When we're having to pick and choose priorities and looking at these lists and saying, what can we afford and what do we have to. Like you said, kick the game down the road and unfortunately pass it on to the next year or.
And there's nothing gonna happen this year, nothing,
Right.
nothing's happening this year.
No,
It's
absolutely,
only this year.
this budget is adopted, we'll go through some, nothing really deep discussions till June of next year.
And I say, let's see what we plan, anything's gonna happen next year. The whole idea is this, seriously, is to get the historical perspective, get the deeds in line, get the expectations in line. So that we're all on the same playing field, because we just aren't right now. And then we can go from there. So don't get your thinking, oh my God, please don't think, the village, they're cutting our funds. That's not what's going on right now. We need to take a look at what's going on with all funds, not just your funds.
Yeah.
Okay, so and it's like.
The historic depot and the historical committee, so all of these sort of.
Get that dialogue, so we know what our responsibilities are.
We have a lot of sacred cows in this community, which every community does. And we're going to look at all of them.
And it's more than most. I'm a Deerfield kid, and this is like, to me, Blissfield was always baseball. It's always historical stuff. It's Girl Scouts. It's, it's all the stuff what we're talking about, you know what I mean? But like I said, as a taxpayer, now I understand where these conversations emanate from, because there's only so much money to go around.
Right.
And like you were talking about earlier with the water and everything, there's everything. I was a contractor in a former life. Everything is exponentially increased in the last 5 years. It's pure insanity, so I understand where,
And all of us guys have played ball
yeah.
in Blissfield, so we get it.
I tried.
Oh, yeah, all you boys.
Right.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
At least.
Oh, they're about bad. I could get up
Tim was
for ball.
Tim was never allowed. That's Christmas too. Going back to Waterworth, I wonder if there's software that's more applicable globally to a village where you can have all the departments showcase like they do just the utilities. So I know
Yeah, you said we could expand it.
he said to other utilities, but I wanted to know if we could do it departmentally. That was what I was sort of hinting at. Like he said other public utilities. And I was like, well, I know from coming from the Northeast, so you have public energy systems, there's a lot more public type utility stuff. Transportation is a big one, buses or trains, like those are all public. So I was wondering if you, I know you're looking at software right now as an option, which I think you have to leverage going forward. I wonder if you could apply that to all the other departments. That would be great to apply that to things like Little League and whatnot. Like, we just.
Like our maintenance, right, equipment maintenance, how many slides?
That's rough.
Last on.
Before I left, we bought that brand new mower, and I don't know if it would be more cost effective to outsource mowing. It's something we never really considered, right? But now with the cost of everything going up, especially insurance and benefits, maybe it is more cost effective to but for contractors, it's fine.
Yeah, so
But the
they,
DPW is always busy too, you know, so what's their next project, on the priority list, so. Do people see the offset in those costs, because it almost becomes a wash to where they send the next project, unfortunately, it's not. That equitable, you know, decrease in operations, unfortunately, it's sort of, so yeah, so this is where we need that data.
stormwater,
Yes.
general fund, marina, road. Solid waste, fire rescue, airport, electric, recycling fleet, on top of wastewater and water, so they do general fund, anything that would be mowing, anything related to. general
Anything
fund.
general funds related,
Yeah,
police department, DPW.
Yep.
they're all-
yeah, he's got that, if you, I know you can't see it, James, but for council, it's on page 25. The different services that they can provide,
Does that raise the yearly cost? So if we had more of those?
yes,
Right now, we just have the two in there, correct?
right, it's
Water,
just water and
there's water.
sewer. Yeah.
So that's the 10,000. We add more, it goes up.
For the 7650, which means, I mean.
Correct.
but-
Yeah, that's pretty
But to get started, you know, figure it out.
And not to harangue your conversation, but I've been examining this for the bank, and it's amazing the cost benefit of the software, leveraging software. How many man hours you plot out, it's like, I can't even quantify something like this. I'm sure Danielle spends way too much time trying to put together spreadsheets and some figures, just to track that, we can get it done on this, so that'd be wonderful, then definitely help the auxiliary.
So each piece should just have a cost.
Correct. And I really didn't talk to him too much about anything other than water and sewer, because that's our main.
I can see how I'd like it.
Yeah,
If it works.
area of concern right now, but I could certainly talk to him about general fund and he get some more information, see what that cost would be
Cause
and
much like, you know, how many hours we spend talking about the ethanol plant, trying to work with, you know, does this benefit the residents, or does this offset operation, you know what I mean? Let the data, let the computer run that and give us a little bit of a tier and say, it makes sense or it doesn't make sense for a large scale use like that, so I'm like to jump on board.
Yeah.
That's the kind of stuff that it would pay for itself.
Yeah.
Did you make it more for, Little League those days?
Yeah.
Keep the
You
company
guys have
abreast.
any more other questions?
All right, moving on to Brussville, what do you,
We're getting there. You guys have more questions in the back? Shane?
Start, just try, we will try to get you more information, but again, just be more transparent, saying,
Come on, what?
you know.
no, I forgot one.
Yeah.
Yeah. If they
We
don't
do
pick up my
appreciate it.
brush, I'm just gonna get a fire pit.
Appreciate your time.
Q&A, it's more legal today.
Oh, the chief, yeah.
Yes.
Should be, should be.
Is there any questions for us or anything, or?
Yes.
I'll get that information to Bill and Phil. And then definitely if you guys feel like you need anything else from me, let me know, I will get that to you guys. I think I have your email too, Clint, but I don't know that I have anybody else's, so you can also, if you want me to send it to you guys, let me know. and I-
it to Phil.
Okay, perfect.
And I have, I'm not, I just want to keep equipment good up and stuff. My stuff on me.
But it's stuff that the volunteers, some people don't understand what
Yeah,
you guys put in, so we get it. Thank you,
thank you.
appreciate you.
Yeah.
Sorry to tie up with the earlier.
We talk around the council, but
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Have a good evening.
you.
It is almost, doesn't all relate, go hand in hand, though, you know, it's really sort of across the board, so. I mean, you guys feel the same way then, kind of what I'm trying to allude to with these sort of groups, again, we don't need to talk historic side, we need to talk scouts, we need to talk
So
river raiding, you know, all of this.
Boy Scouts and Historical Society are going to be coming in October, both are confirmed. So I guess I would like to know, because I do feel I wasn't 100% where you guys are gonna go. So when I reached out to Bill, I'm like, hey, I think we just want to talk about like who does what, and I didn't really give them a lot of context because I didn't know. I sent the same information to Boy Scouts and the depot, so I did share with both of them, the agreements that we have in place, but should I be preparing something more for them as well, or
Yes.
maybe same things?
Same.
Just so then we're not in the
Yeah,
same
I
boat next month
understand.
where I'm
Yeah,
like,
no,
different places that we're funding. Store and bulk building, how they, that when they come in, they can kind of be on all the same page and they know
Okay.
what we're thinking.
Right there.
so I will get that to
And then they
them
can
too.
come, and then they can come in with some ideas. No, or
Yeah,
no,
Or
they'll
it'll
be
be an
kind of-
introductory meeting and
right,
with
and they'll be a
every
little
group
bit
that
better
we do this.
prepared too.
I mean,
Right.
even if we've got some details,
Right,
but it'll, at
right,
least like, I agree with that, we start.
And it's better than just coming in thinking that we're gonna squash their funding, 100%, you know, that's.
they
it's more.
may be coming in like,
And I did tell them that that was not, I don't remember exactly how
I saw Connie, so we get, she's a little nervous, it's like.
I know she did call me, but she was sick, I was sick, so but I'll talk to her. But I did put right in my email, this is not to cut, this is just to get us all on the same page moving
Yes.
forward and make sure that we're communicating.
I feel like they were understanding that.
And they were gonna get cut.
No. But when we started talking, you know, and
Yes.
then, you know, and when you brought up, well, you need to see paperwork.
Yeah, they need to see our state numbers, yes, that's very good. Yes, and I love this question, where does this come from for the conference? Paving in a parking lot, I mean, we just think that's, they know that, they don't know that.
Right.
But purely, I'm not sure blindside is the right word, we're ready for it. We've been in Houston since March. So kind of, didn't know what to expect. Didn't really have a lot of background information, you know, so.
Right.
Yeah, really full line too.
What I think just been this initial one. Softball, baseball, first one we learned what we need now, so, no, I think that, and do I think it's worthwhile? Absolutely, I think we all agree with that.
And I would say our education on this actually began with the festival
Yes, 100%.
and library. And we need to look at everything. And just have the discussion. Because we do have the sacred cow, like, or the not in my backyard kind of a thing, so it's, okay, what do we do? What do we do?
But I think having conversations.
Entities, I
It's
agree.
needed, 100% needed.
And, you know, potentially help maybe snowball the word out there as well. There, you know, what we're talking about, they can help say, you know, again, when we're fighting this continuous battle of why do things cost so much and what are we getting for our, you know, I mean, they can help explain again. Well, the village is contributing $80,000 to Little League. You know, and so again, the more information we get out to them, also disseminates into the public. We'll see. We're more transparent on what we're spending on what people are getting for their tax.
Even the things down at the park, the skateboard.
Yeah, 300,000 for some ramp, I mean, you know, it's. Something's
But
gonna
it's what do we want, where do we want to invest? Because, and sometimes that's a fair word
For the
to use, I
greater good
think, and
as well.
sometimes it's not a fair word. It's not a fair word, but like, the bathrooms at the park. You know, just. Have free.
Yeah, we're talking pickleball, we're talking
Right.
yeah, we're talking all this. We wanna get in the brush pick up?
No, I'll go back to, water.
Oh, yeah, let's get started. Perfect.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. What? I wasn't aligned.
I like it, I again. About transparency, again, keeps raw data saying, we're not paying, we're not being paid on, you know, making millions of dollars producing and selling water, you know. These are fixed costs, and what it costs, and what we have to set aside for future
Exactly.
infrastructure improvements, etc. That stuff provides us that actual data that we can pass on. to the
And we have the fund. Okay, a couple things, Danielle, they gave us the three different amounts. You have a recommendation. I'd like to hear your recommendation, and then is this something that you foresee we can go ahead and begin to implement in the 26 year?
So we obviously did not specifically budget for this
Right.
because I did not have the numbers when I was doing the budget, nor did I know if you guys wanted to move forward. But I do think, so you're looking at $3,760 in water and the same amount in sewer. I do think that we could easily be able to fund that. Now, I just told you what I'm recommending. Yep. The $7,520 one. Obviously, those are the prices I referenced, so that would include everything except the cost of service. I actually see a ton of benefit in the cost of service, however, the reason I'm saying I would exclude that initially is because. So cost of service is like if CFS was to come on, what would their rate be compared to everybody else? So the reason I'm saying that I would recommend excluding that is we just did the study with Benzinski, who looked at that and told us exactly that information. It doesn't look like at this time CFS is coming on, and that information in Waterworth is gonna be much more beneficial with historical information. So cost of service is gonna be really hard with this program to be accurate without that history already input, so
We don't
that's
have-
something I
Not for
would
when it was operating though.
potentially add later. Well, I'm saying within Waterworth, like, it's gonna take us time to build it out, so I would say start with this first, and then if in a year or two. We want to add that module, we can, but the first year, we're not gonna be able to use that cost of service. So I just think it's silly to pay for
You
it.
mean
But
for
what we're
the
trying to-
cost of, you're talking about the cost of services. You're recommending.
The cost of
that-
services analysis would not be included.
Okay,
Because it was just done with.
Right,
and you're saying it would not really go.
right, we wouldn't be able to really use it at least for the first year, so. I specifically asked Matt before I said, if we decide not to do that, can we add it here? He said, yeah, absolutely, you can add it in 5 years, you can decide not to, so that's why I would recommend that mid-level. It gives us the ability to start using this program in a way that is gonna be immediate. And then we get all of that history and that data built into the program.
And of course, I know the answer to this question already, but this does not come from the general fund, this has to come from the water and sewer fund, that's why you're saving division. The divided numbers. Well, I mean, I think it's a no-brainer, I mean,
I liked the presentation, I liked seeing, the projections and stuff in real time.
I really, one of the,
But isn't that the cost of service analysis?
That's what I. think.
No. that's the rate design. And the long-term financial, so what you're buying at that level I'm recommending is the long-term financial model. So that first chart he showed you where it broke down, this is your operating, this is your debt, this is your capital. At what year does that line drop off? That's included.
Yeah, it's in the
Okay.
63 or the 70.
So that's at the 75. So that is included, the asset replacement schedule, so building out all of that capital projects. So that you can make those future projections, so if you guys say we're not gonna fund this project this year, we're pushing it out 2 years, that's all included. The rate design is all included, so what should our rate structure be, what should our increases potentially be? Or is it fair to residential to industrial, that's all your
Okay,
rate
exactly.
design,
okay, so the equitable part that he's referring to
is all in that rate
is in the
design,
75/50.
correct?
Yes.
So the only thing not included in that would be reviewing your historical demand patterns to like true cost of service. So that model would be beneficial if we were having significant changes to our system, such as CFS coming on and doubling our production. I do see a ton of benefit in that, I just don't year one, and I don't wanna pay for it.
Right.
For it to just sit there and be wasted, because that is an additional $3,000.
What if we're talking, like, I kind of asked about units versus meter side, and breaking it down, where they're saying these large.
So that's under rate
And
design,
it's under rate design.
yes,
Okay.
which is included in, right.
Um,
So I think most everything you
Most
guys are referencing is in that rate design is like the long-term model and the asset replacement is what gets, we have to build that in order to get to the rate design.
these are old meter data, or it's literally everything from this year?
No, we can use, so we'll be able to give him, now it won't be probably as accurate or detailed because our breakdowns for meter size were a little bit different because they were all out in the field and we updated those. But yes, we can update
But
that.
you feel this will get us started on saying, okay, what is the cost for running a line from Toledo to Blissfield and we fix our water plant, or do we drill? Well, you know what I mean, all of these other ideas and options that are out there.
So it's not gonna let us specifically look at like. If that's what the cost is, but we can do a comparison and say, okay, let's say we talk to Toledo and Berkey and they say. We wanna sell you water, and Toledo says we would sell it, you would run it from Berkey at this rate, and we know, and I'm gonna make up. stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's say. We're gonna charge you $4 per 1,000 gallons to serve you water. And we know that it's gonna cost us $4 million to run that. It's probably not, it's probably more than that, to run that main to Blissfield. Then we can build in that cost and you can do a comparison. Where we're at currently and how our rate structure is, and if we were to switch to that, what would our rates look like? And that's all
Yes.
within that rate design. And it would be, you actually would have two charts with the two different scenarios and you run them kind of together to see what
Could
those
you
look like side by side.
see where I'm going with this? Could you go back and look at full data and say, did building Riga bite us in the butt? You know what I mean, of that kind of.
We don't want
perspective.
I don't,
I think we did, because you're saying out of these improvements that we said, okay,
I understand.
say, you know, we did a raise rates through the early 2000s, you know what I mean? People, I'll forget all the 2008, how crappy it was, right? And we were trying to be cognizant of everybody's spending, and then all of a sudden. They jump exponentially, but if it was just tiered, you know, like say 3%. They didn't pay it then, they're paying it now, so is there a way to say, you gotta break back
there's
then? and
not
sucks
a
now?
fair way to do that, because when they build out that model, they're looking at, so what I was gonna tell you, I'm gonna kind of jump back a little bit. One of the things that I really like about this, and probably my favorite thing, and you said this at a meeting, and you're absolutely, I think I looked at you and said, you're right. So you're like, things are constantly changing. Well, they are, because every decision we make today impacts the future, and I can't, it's hard for me to sit in a meeting and say, okay, if you. And again, I'm just gonna use examples. I recommend, let's say, a $5 increase, and you guys decide to do a $3. In that meeting, I can't sit here and do calculations
Right.
easily and be like, this is what it's gonna happen. With this program. We could go in there and say, okay, if you only do $3, this is what's gonna happen in the future. So on the flip side of that, what you're asking me is to go backwards. Well, it would be hard to do that because we'd have to look at every single decision.
Okay.
It's not just we should have raised rates. What projects did we delay at that point for capital projects? What debt did we take on? So you'd have to compile all of that, and it'd be very hard to go
Figure
back
it out.
in time, right?
But in real time,
Because
once
we weren't
like
here
you're
for
saying,
that.
oh, we're gonna do 40,000 worth of lead service lines this year, you know, I mean, we could in real time throw that in there and say,
Yes.
okay, this is kind of good.
Yeah, so I don't think we'll be able to we'll be able to build in that historical data so that our future data is more realistic and we have very good numbers and projections moving forward, but I don't think we'll be able to go back and say this is exactly when we messed up or what we should have done.
And honesty doesn't make a difference.
But I like too that and we talked about this a lot, like we've said all the time, we've got to do these infrastructure projects, it's just gonna cost us more in the future. And he even showed you guys that, so he said, well, we could fix our cash flow problem if we don't do this $3 million project this year. He only pushed it out 2 years and it added $1.5 million. That is realistic with our inflation, like it has been crazy off the chart the last few years. Hopefully it'll balance out, but I'm sure it's not gonna go down. We're not gonna ever see those prices we did 10 years ago. So I think that's important to see too, because then when you guys are looking at the whole picture and saying, do we raise rates $2 this year so that we can fund this 3 million project, or do we wait? it's gonna cost us this much, and we're gonna have to raise them instead of $2, we're gonna have to raise them $22. And again, I'm
We'll
making
have
up
to be able
numbers,
to
but
break down.
that happened with the wastewater treatment plant, like if we
Oh,
had done
yeah.
that
Yeah.
in 2012, it was like $3 million. We waited, it was 7.8. Eventually
Well,
more,
it took 2 years just to get the funding, you know, the USDA back to one place, so.
but that's what I'm saying, and I'm not blaming anyone, I'm just saying that's what happens when.
But that can also go ahead, as you were saying, and share with the residents.
And that's a
what
lot of, I
that's what
think
you're
that's money
wanting
well
to do,
spent,
is to
is being
say,
transparent,
look,
yes.
this is what it's
Yes.
gonna be,
Yeah,
and this
yes.
is why we're doing this now.
Yes, the plant is 25 years old and we're putting this much into the plant. And we have to treat, chemicals have gone up this much, right?
Yes.
In wages, obviously you want a wage increase, so our staff probably wants a wage increase, so we have this much.
Yes.
And that, again, how do we explain to the rest of that? Again, it's,
When you see it,
they
the
can hate
visual,
it, but at least it's
yeah,
proof in the
it's
pudding
there,
that fantastic, right?
I love it. I think, you should get this ready for next week. For next week's meeting, or October, it doesn't have to be done.
No, I read that, get it on next week.
But I understand in the rate study, so if you have one person in the household, and 5 in another, there could be a different rate per 1,000 gallons. Did I understand that?
He met, I
He
was
said that,
thinking the
didn't
same
he?
thing, Tim,
That's
because
what
he
I heard.
mentioned something, it made me write down, are there variations of dollars per 1,000 gallon users between residents?
So they're not typically between residents. And I think he did say that, but I think what he was trying to say.
It's not about versus a
There's-
large scale industry.
There are communities. You don't have to do this, not every community does, but there are communities that do stepped. Consumption charges, so when we charge. A flat, whatever we charge per 1,000, regardless if you're industrial, commercial, or residential. And some communities say our residential users are going to pay $5 per 1,000 because their impact is typically. It's that individual person that's not using as much, where our commercial users, instead of paying 5 per 1,000, they're gonna pay 9 per 1,000 because they have a larger impact. And our industrial users are gonna pay 11 because they have an even larger impact than the commercial users. So, and sometimes communities even further, they'll say, commercial, if you have X amount of bathrooms.
Go back.
So what they're looking at, if you build a
Car wash,
hotel,
car wash
a hotel
versus
is gonna have
restaurant.
a bigger impact than a restaurant, but they're both commercial.
Right.
So that's where he was, I think he did use the residential as an example, but that's, he's trying to show you the different. The different
Yes, the kind of
impacts
stuff
with
that
those
we need to look at,
users.
yes, it's just most of, I've been arguing this unit thing for how long, you know, what constitutes a unit. Obviously, a commercial entity would use a larger unit, whatever that is, over a residential home. Because there's more wear and tear, there's more costs, more chemicals, they use more water, it's more wear and tear on the system itself. They should have a little bit of a higher offset cost
And-
rather than just a meter.
And typically, your unit cost is different because normally a commercial business is going to have a larger meter than a residential. So your residentials normally have, well, we're weird and have 5/8, normally 3/8. And then, or 3/4, sorry, and then I was mixing 5/8 and 3/4. And then a commercial is gonna have a 1 inch or greater, and again, depending if it's a hotel, they're probably gonna have a 4 inch, where a restaurant, a 1 inch is more than sufficient. So they're gonna pay a different base fee based on that meter size. Not because they're not paying a different rate of the unit, it's the meter. But a lot of our commercial businesses have a 5/8 or 3/4 meter. So they're paying the same as a household. So that's
But
where,
still,
again,
tear on the
you could
infrastructure.
say, okay, you can pay the same and have the same meter size, but then. You have a greater impact, so you're paying more of a consumption, like there's a million
Yeah.
different ways you can structure fees.
Yes.
And it just, I think what works for your community and what your distribution of people and businesses are too.
So just a week ago, I asked Danielle this almost similar question, because I was trying to put together something that we could compare other municipalities to ours. And it is impossible, because of that very thing right there. Because there's other places that will charge a certain rate up to 5,000 gallons per month. And then when you go above that, then they charge a different rate. Or they're charged a different rate for, for a larger commercial business like a car wash or something like that. Just because they use, 30, 40,000 gallons a month.
Well, when restaurants are done, yeah, you compare it, and but that's kind of arbitrary too, like, oh, a restaurant use 2.5 times more, I mean, again, it's.
I mean,
Yeah,
you
like,
can
yeah,
find
that's
the
kind of-
rates because they have them
Like-
posted on their websites, but to do an apples to apples. It is so convoluted because they have a different system. They're drawing their water from a different water source too.
So if we were looking to have it more fair across the board, and we all have the same meter size. Then having it stepped in usage would be the more natural way, rather than just saying, you're commercial, you're industrial, you're residential. And just say, okay, since we all have the same size meter, let's just, you use this much, here's your first step, second step, third step. Would make sense more,
Based on gallons used?
yeah, for our system.
It could, yeah.
Yeah,
That would, I mean, off the top of my head,
Yes.
yes, the first thing would be most.
then it's just not throwing out an idea either, it's literally just a tiered system, like.
Yeah.
You hit that next tier,
And you're flat.
you're more, yeah, absolutely, you're more wear and tear, you're more chemicals, you're more, yeah, so.
Have you estimated how much this system would save as far as staff time?
I don't know, so they input all of the information, which is nice, so I just have to send him our current budget.
They just log into our system or how they?
No, so I would have to generate like reports from BSNA. Or our capital improvement plan, it's already done, I would just send that plan to them and they would go in and input all of that. Which would be hugely beneficial. I don't wanna tell you it's gonna save a ton of time because I don't have a good way to project the future right now, so I don't.
It's not gonna
I
increase
look
your
at
time.
this year and next year with our rates. I don't really go further than that, because if I did, the amount of time I would spend would be, I don't even know. it would
But
be
this is something
crazy.
that this would be able to do.
Right, because I don't really have an ability to do it, so if you guys said you're gonna start projecting out like that, it would save me a ton of time.
That's a bunch of benefits here, so.
Yeah, and that's why I shared it with you guys, if you guys said, let's wait, I'm okay with that too, like, I'm not so strongly that I'm saying you have to do this, but I do see a lot of benefit with it, and given the position we're in with our water and sewer rates, and that we are hopefully, I'm gonna be talking to you guys in October about looking at some other options with the engineers, that I can see a lot of benefit in having this program. Plus, I do think that it's important for our residents to at least be able to share. I think the more information we can share, they're not going to like the rates. And I don't think that can be our goal, but if they at least understand them and they feel like we are making decisions with the best information we have, then at least they can trust
Take a
in
step
that.
back and look at all options.
Well, this is definitely a proof of the pudding.
Yeah,
We're going forward.
And for
with this.
3,700 out of each fund, we budgeted for engineering, so again, that's technically part of the engineering, because it's going back to from scratch and saying, how do we move forward, again, for the most efficient operation, maybe it's not produced water, maybe we don't seek out massive expansion, because it would cost too much, but yes, but the data will provide us it. I think it's.
And also if we could get from them the à la carte for DPW transportation.
Yeah, I'll
that
get
kind of
some
thing.
more information on that. I did not really talk to him at all about
Yeah.
that.
Because that was something I thought at the end. Do you have does he have an à la carte pricing for components? But because it's this is just strictly water, but we would know that it'd be fine going forward, but at least we could get our feet wet and see what this does for us, and if we like it, then we can add.
It'd be nice
And
to
if we don't, we
run the pool numbers under that.
I know.
Maintenance and,
I'm watching that.
And I like being able to like real time, if you guys say, make a decision, we can go in there and change that.
Yeah.
And you can real time see the future impact of that decision.
We're discussing sacred cows Keep the mics in the.
So it was.
Don't bring them out yet, don't bring them out right away.
So I had put my name in at a conference about more information, so then he called and did an initial call. So when you do your initial call, you have to go through like this questionnaire to see if you, I do too. To see, like, get some basic, like, what is your revenue, how many users, what are your meters?
Yeah.
And then from there, they schedule a call to like actually talk to you
So
about.
that's how we discovered.
Yes.
Well, good going, Dan.
Give us your social.
I did.
What's
Yeah,
your
but you-
phone
but you
number?
still-
No, but that's how it starts.
She did it at the fair.
Yeah.
Guys, a gutter system for your house, put your name in there and you can call.
Yeah, I was just
David
trying
made
to
that-
miss, I'm just kidding.
You guys want to talk urban forestry or no?
Yeah, cool, that.
Sure. All right, well, when we get more, it's fire police.
They will let us know when.
They were asleep last night. So obviously, you know, you guys all kind of read that email from the one resident that wanted the private. You know, private and the material taken away, so again, that leads into. People don't understand what stuff costs, right? So looking at our entire urban forestry budget, 165,000, a lot of it obviously is DPW wages, et cetera. And equipment rental for everything that we do. Again, you divvy that up by what did I say, 1,250, 1,300 residents here, $127 a year. Again, we can't provide anything above collecting every couple of weeks, some stuff and throwing in the truck and haul it up, right? We can't go to the township and collect large scale. You know, numerous dump truck loads of materials of trees, or somebody's cutting out a private tree, spending 2 or 3 truckloads and a couple guys, a couple hours. It literally just, you're in the negative, right? We get-
See, and our residents, I don't think they understand that when they're putting like the brush or the lights are out there, when they're doing the tree stuff, and we're ending up having to pick it up. Everything that's included that, you know, the employees' wages, the insurance and all that. I don't think they're not comprehending that it's, you know, becomes, it's not just them coming and picking it up, because it's, you know, limb day. It's the cost, each person
What was
that's
it
doing it.
Gave us those numbers last week.
I did, and I don't remember off the top of my head. I-
$400 a month, $400 a month, that's what it was, yeah.
Right in the neighborhood.
You gotta know you guys between 350 and 450.
Right. And I honestly don't think most residents realize that.
I'm hoping Doug's in this meeting to be.
I did talk to Doug
Did
after
you?
last meeting, so
Oh, good.
he and I are gonna try to get together and do an article. Not just on brush, but services overall and what those costs are. So we were gonna talk about like sidewalk plowing, we're gonna talk about brush pickup. A couple different things, instead of just focusing on one and kind of do an overall. I don't have a meeting scheduled with him yet, but we did talk about doing that. That'll work with them.
Then maybe once people see what numbers, we won't know what the numbers are, then people who are passionate about things may not be so passionate about. You know, something that we can't afford, or is it, you know, is it efficient, or is it way too expensive to continue doing it? So,
I mean, I see the idea there, sending letters to residents with the rules, I mean.
I think we should send the rules out. It may not hurt also to send some of those rules, send them to find a listing of the tree contractors around too. Send it to them so that they know when they're giving a bid to the customer, that they have to take that stuff off the site. And they can't let the customer say, well, what if I take care of the brush, what would it cost me?
Right, right.
Because that is.
And then they're turning.
Or we give them the option that we share with you to, okay, you're gonna pay a large lunch and
Right,
ticket or something to offset
right,
those costs, right?
That's true, yeah.
Much like the garbage.
yeah, you can do that too.
If people would start using resources, say that they have all this wood setting up there. And I'm just throwing this out there because I'm a Facebook person, say, hey, we've got all this wood set in front of our house, anybody needs some wood through their fireplace? The next thing you know, someone's saying, I want to get it,
So
then it costs nobody.
I had a tree cut down, the contractor said, can he have the wood when it's done? And I said, sure.
So he does, he takes it, splits it, and sells it, so I pay him to take it away, and he pays somebody else to take it from him.
Discount for.
Right.
I don't know.
You know what I'm saying, that should.
Yes. I don't know if he did or not. But he's kind of got it, he's kind of got. Yeah, a grip on the business, you know. So
I never go with these things.
A lot of people out there that have wood burners now, and have a hard time finding wood.
and other ideas that offshoot that, and there, it's not. Not we're not gonna have one idea that fits everybody. So Jack, your comment last Monday about you and your neighbors put all of their brush in one spot.
Yeah, well, not all, but within.
Well, however.
Houses or whatever.
Sure,
But not everybody.
but it makes, right, but the thing is, it's one stop.
Right.
That's the thing, it's one stop. Or if there was a place that we could take stuff. Yes, not everybody has the means to do that. But neighbors, your neighbor might have the means.
It may offset a little bit.
Sure. And like deals with, hey, come get some free firewood. Hey, here's $10. Would you mind taking my brush with yours when you go?
Right.
I mean, there's different ways, almost like when some communities, they have a neighborhood watch. Everybody's kind of looking out for one another. We could possibly do the same thing with the brush. We could do that with maybe grass clippings, because I know, DPW doesn't do that, but that might be something. Even doing the sidewalks in the winter time. Because regardless of whether the walks are cleared or not, the mailmen are still coming through.
Right.
So, I mean, I have a snow blower and I don't just do my sidewalk. I've got a neighbor 3 houses down that can't get out to do
God,
this.
David does the whole name.
Yeah, so but if the neighbors would talk to one another about it, then that might be something else that we could save some money on somewhere else down the road, which, again, coming back to the sacred cows, if we're looking at each department and what all that they do, and then if they prioritize, hey man, I'd love to get rid of snow plowing and picking up brush. I mean, we'll never eliminate that stuff. I'm just saying, how do we streamline some of this and make it a little more efficient? We just brainstorm
We have to
to see what works.
look at the worst picture of
Sure.
everybody, or nobody helps each other out with. It's literally the village provides it for,
Of
and then
course.
we bring it in when we get the
Of course,
benefit.
and if 3 different blocks, like over on Gassner does it once, Franklin Street does it, South Monroe does it. Then, okay, maybe it's not gonna benefit the community, but it's gonna benefit those 3 blocks. And they will have the benefit that others could have if they wanted it. But it does make the DPW, it would make the DP, in that facet, it would make the DPW, since we're just talking about that. Their job would go a little quicker. And so it would be a benefit not just to those 3 blocks, but on those days when the DPW is working that. So it's just, there's lots of ways to put that out, I think, as far as what potential benefits are. And again, unless we were to do something across the board, it's not really gonna have any drastic effect. But how do we just do it?
Yeah, but I think even small things help. So you're talking about like making an impact, and probably more than having one pile, like don't pile up brush and then park your car right in front of it.
Right.
You guys seriously
I know.
laughing about it, but
Well,
I
I've seen it.
so those little things, like having your car out of the way so that we can go in there. I mean, it'll be as big as this laptop, like have a car moved and we'll pick that up in 2 seconds. But instead we gotta come back, or we gotta move around your car, and it just took us 20 minutes longer than if we could just grab it and keep going. So those small things, it seems small, do make a big impact overall.
I'm gonna break the rules, Carl, and Jackie, you guys real quick here, so. People, sorry. Go on.
Big problem picking up brush, and I see this, I talk to my neighbors and some just don't care, big huge piles. Instead of putting up small piles the way I do, in the ordinance, it says that the limbs cannot be more than 6 foot, but it doesn't say that you've got to stack them in 6 foot piles. So maybe the ordinance could be changed about that too, about your piles can only be 6 foot wide. then you can flip it into the bucket. But you got some people that got the whole front yard lined up, one big gigantic long pile. Well, how are they supposed to pick it up? That's why we bought that claw thing probably to grab that stuff, because people aren't putting it out in nice small piles, they can just flip it into the bucket. That I do all the time. So that is very frustrating to see people do that. You know, I talk to my neighbors, you know, help each other, but there's always gotta be some, that, I don't care. That's their job, but it takes them so much longer. And then they're dropping stuff all over the street and they gotta sweep that up. Got nice small piles, they just roll it into the bucket, they dump it, roll it in the bucket, and it's done. But again, we've got that problem.
In a perfect world.
But the ordinance could be changed to say not only the limbs are 6 foot, but the piles can only be 6 foot also. And it's not that hard to do it. I do it all the time. Some other neighbors do too. Not that big a deal. And I do separate the burnable stuff that somebody might want from the, you know, the other brush, and people do come and pick it up. So that helps too.
You pull up and there's a car in front of the brush, you go into that one. Or they just see you and then they move it.
We usually just work around it or we come back.
I think that almost would be easy to wait till next time. That's what I would say.
But then it's sitting out there,
Burn it anyway.
which we don't want either.
So.
Well, that's another thing. I get it in a perfect world, but there have been times, right, but there have been times I can't, I get to my mess the night before. And so you know, or it's the day after, actually. It's like, because of my schedule, because of the weather, and it's like, okay, so I gotta store it somewhere. Where do I store it? So I mean, there's some places I can put some stuff. And I can store it on my side of the sidewalk. Right out for everyone to see, or it can be right in the right of way for everyone to see. So if we're concerned about the blight issue, I don't know that it makes any difference. As far as that goes. So again, I mean, just coming up with different ideas, because I know Carl had made a comment about, was you, Carl, about 223? Somebody several meetings ago, somebody said something about 223, the brush pickup. No, it was the edging on 223.
Yeah.
And that we wanted, yeah, somebody had said something about the edging on 223.
I did it.
Okay, that was you.
Look nice.
Yeah, so if we wanted to focus on 223, what if we just changed some things again? I'm not trying to solve I am trying to solve the problem, but I'm just brainstorming. Once a week, DPW picks up if you live on 223. Everybody else off of 223, you set your brush out in the right of way. But you also need to make sure that your car is out. There's got to be some, I think, some sort of give and take about, look, we're willing to do this, but you all have responsibility as citizens and villagers here to not just come with pitchforks, but to use those pitchforks and keep your stuff ready, and then allow the DPW to come and get it. So move your truck, move your car. No, I don't know.
You've worked with the public before, you know how.
I did. I know it is, but again, how do we,
You
Find
find them.
that balance.
how do we find that balance?
You know what I would do?
Exactly.
Find them. What? What?
There's nothing wrong with that.
I would say.
We also have, but
Here's your
we're
fine.
always to what end? Then we're always looking,
I
and I know there's a retraining that needs to be done. I get
I mean,
that.
we could not pick it up.
That's what I'm
Just
saying, that,
You are going to get calls, I am going to get calls. So if that's what we
I know.
do, we say, if your car's there, we're not picking it up, or if it's not cut down, we're not picking it up. That's fine, but then when you
Then
guys
we
get
call.
that call from your best friend or the kid you grew up with for 30 years, you have to say, you didn't follow the rules.
Yeah.
We didn't pick you up, because what
I know.
tends to happen is, and I'm not blaming you guys, we are humans, this is our nature.
That's right.
When our best friend calls, we wanna help them, cause we love them, we care about them. We have to be fair and say, this is the rule, you don't follow it, it doesn't get picked up.
First of all, they get on Facebook and voice their opinion first.
Yeah, well, you cannot run the village based on Facebook.
But that, to me, that would be
I'm not-
more beneficial than finding,
But I agree with
because
you.
then they're gonna
That's where they
learn,
get-
I'm
they're
not
gonna get
gonna
on
pick
there.
up unless I do this.
I'm generating income, Danielle.
I appreciate that.
No, I just, I really
Really
went like
would love you for
the neighbors I had right down the block that when I had other shrubs, school shrubs, okay? I never would have picked them up, never. I would not have. I think that seriously, it's just, and I know that they're gonna complain. Yes, we picked them up. And that's where I
Because what has happened historically
is,
we get a call and they say, go pick it up, and then DPW's gotta go back, so they're like, well, let's do it this
I
side.
do it first
Instead of
time.
having to go back to pick it up, which I don't blame those, I mean, those, thank you for just doing it and not causing headaches, but that's what I'm saying, if we're going to go that route, then we all, myself included, when we get those phone calls, need to say, sorry, that's the rule, and not budge on it.
So then we go into the, well, what if then they go ahead, they leave it there, it looks like crap. Okay, what if they go ahead and then they don't even saw it up, they just leave, so it's gonna just be left there like.
And at a certain point, I mean, if they,
Is it a
then,
And then they can't.
Then we
Just
can
enforce what we've got.
Yeah.
It's, you know, it's a matter of
No
enforcement, whatever you have.
yes, I think so, I mean, if they don't, if it's been there for 3 weeks and they're not cleaning it up, then we clean it up and bill them, I mean, we gave you a chance.
Well, that's it.
I mean, we aren't gonna just for 3 months leave it, sit there and not pick it
But
up.
you can bill them, I like that, idea.
What would the cost of the brush ticket be and what would that entail?
$500.
5 by 8 tile?
And your first,
I mean, or you pick it up
Somebody
and just
came
give
up
them an
with that
ordinance
suggestion.
violation.
Oh, you could
I
do
mean,
that.
that
too.
it is, you have a fee schedule already for ordinance violation, which is the step fees.
Oh, that's a
So
good
what,
idea.
it's like, what,
I
250?
mean, the ordinance violation. Oh.
So if they do it a second time.
I know that if you-
Or,
if you have something, have a large object that you wanna set out for Stevens to pick up, you gotta put down, say, $10 for a ticket for that individual thing.
Call them, tell them you got something that.
Yes, yes, so they know ahead of time that they're not just picking up your garbage.
They'll
they're
just
picking
tell you to
up a
call up
large
here.
That's, so they.
They'll just tell you to call up here. and we'll schedule it.
You know, if they're picking, if someone has a large amount of brush that needs to be picked up where it's gonna cost them some money. Then we already know when they come to get the ticket. That we're gonna let our DPW probably know that, just so you know, at this address. You're gonna have to already know, I don't know. I don't know, I just know that there are costs to things like that. We would have to figure out what that cost would be.
Didn't we talk about buying an acre fuel company, the residents who take. brush
Yeah,
ticket?
we can, pay for some for the rental or the fees.
There it is.
Right.
For years, so, yeah.
I mean, and I can make flyers,
Would
if
that
we
be
don't
something
pick
we
it up,
could
we
take care
leave
of
it,
without
we
cost?
circle what they didn't.
Yeah, yeah.
So then they put a warning if they don't clean it up by the
They,
next.
they have to push up a little bit every so often for it to be
So-
more efficient.
Hey,
I can tell you.
I think that's a big key. To find a couple acres that residents can take it there. And if you don't have a trailer, I got a trailer, I come pick yours up. You might.
Do it at any time and then DPW.
And I think that's a great idea.
Your neighbors
I grew up-
are going to shoot at you.
I grew up with really-
I mean, really, that's the way to do it. Just have the residents.
So I grew up in.
But then you're still gonna have stuff. I'm sorry.
She
I'll
was
stop.
really large. Third time's the charm.
Pull that mic.
Board. And they had leaf pickup, but they did not have brush pickup. I mean, they did not have one pickup. However, there was a place down to what used to be the gravel pit, the people could take stuff down and then they would like burn it every so often. Residents
Where's properties like that around here?
Somewhere in the outskirts.
would have to find stuff.
I think you could talk to Pixley, but he's a little bit out there, I don't know if you wanna go that far, but where's Pixley at? Pixley.
Is our thing.
Oh, my. It's not
But I
Pixley.
But I think just having.
But
a place
he had
to take
reached
it-
out at one point and said, I need a spot.
And that saves us some time.
But I don't
If they
know.
wanna get rid of it now, and they have the means, take out there, throw it on, DPW will push it up with them, you know, run and load or burn it here, you know. But then we'll still provide the typical collections and
Right.
such for those that can. But then, yes, we probably should, you know, because being here, living here all my life, I would think if I wanted to pull my shrubs out of my front, replant them, I can drag them out the road and they get collected because that's just how it's always been. And I, you know, we're fortunate that we our guys collect some of the side streets, right, leaves twice a week. Right, where in Toledo, you get one shot, if you don't do it, you got a frozen ball of leaves, all your, block leaves. All year long, so again, number one, it's transparency, getting up to the public, this costs us much. You're actually getting some bang for your buck with our taxes, as much as you don't think you are, yes, we understand rates are higher for water sewer. It is what it is, it costs that much to produce it, I'm sorry, there's no other way around it, we're looking at all the options, looking at ways to be more efficient, fine. But we talked garbage collection, we talked, snow plowing, all of this stuff obviously costs money. But I sure as hell love it, listening to the guys drive by with the tractor in the morning, I'm still in bed, and I have to plow myself.
Right.
And that's something I'm willing to pay.
Did you get a chance to say what you want to say?
Sorry, Jackie.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, broke the rules.
Yes, okay.
Yeah, well,
I just had some statements, no comment. Okay, I hope this policy about brush and whatever doesn't encourage people to burn it themselves in their backyard.
They will
I know, and I'm afraid of that.
guarantee it.
I mean, there was a few years ago, my neighbor behind me was burning something in his backyard. And it burned and burned, and I thought, he did that all the time.
well, that's an ordinance violation.
And then it dawned on me, maybe it's his house. I called the police, the fire chief came, they gave him a warning, they're talking to him, never even gave him a ticket. And he still done.
It may not burn the whole pile, but
It was a mattress, you know how long that burned? You can,
Oh,
I
mattress?
remember what, huh?
Did you say a mattress?
Yes. In the winter, it was wet, it was terrible. Anyways, let's take into consideration all these DMP posts. For, and we've been conscious about not getting anything proposed. Because so much room for the village, because they're everywhere, and down every street, not that far apart. Want to know what to do with the trees between the sidewalk and the street? Who's responsible for those?
We're responsible for cutting, trimming them, maintaining them, we are.
Or
If it's in the right
if
of way.
they fall down or get hit by lightning or something.
Correct, it's the village street.
Yeah,
it's
they'll
the city
take care of
street.
that because I didn't plant it. Yeah,
Consumers will come through and clear trees too that are in the way or near a
all the
line.
power lines on the opposite
I
side.
don't know, I'm just saying, they will do, well,
People
people.
technically, although they still do not have the right to plant things in the right of way, or that, again, that's.
Yeah.
If people understood how much stuff is in there,
Yeah.
you can't plant your own trees, you can't plant your own shrubs, you can't plant decorations, the right of way is the right of way, it is an
Yeah.
easement, that is.
Also, and I agree with Carl, but sometimes people are voting. They're going away, they're the kids at a basketball game to trim and do brush stuff. They have to do it. I'm sorry, rather than those others. There's other priorities than that. So a
Busy.
little get with that would be a good thing. Cause if a tree blows down the day after brush pickup, if they clean it up, it's gonna be there for,
Yeah, that's what we have to plan to be a perfect world, because.
Yeah, yeah. There
Yeah,
are
those things you can't help.
circumstances and everything, but my main concern is. People burn it themselves, because I know several people in town now that are.
You can have small bonfires, you just can't burn, you can't burn leaves, you can't burn, but
Burn mattress.
you
Burn-
certainly can't
Burn
burn.
pits aren't allowed. No.
Yes, they are.
Yes, they are.
Okay,
Yes,
all
they
right,
are.
no, they're not. What do you call
A
it?
fire,
Cooking
a
fire.
fireplace, yeah, like some
What's
good
the
ground.
definition of
You can have a cooking fire, you can have a.
Yeah.
No, if it's cooking, okay, but my neighbor's got one 10 foot from my garage, if you don't cook.
Well, that's,
He's burning
that
it?
does violate things, that's
Yeah.
after the.
Yeah, nice spot by somebody in the village about 2 years ago.
You can
Lots
have
of
like
people have
small
them,
fires,
just
so like.
And you need your call.
And it's all like-
Then you need to call Jack, and tell them, sure.
And you can.
And if it doesn't go just, then you call.
Yeah.
So, for
Concerned that if they leave if they're not picked up, the brush will be left. We're concerned that they'll go ahead and burn the brush. So, that idea.
No, they won't even take it out.
Your people, but the other people, will go ahead and take out the big old shrubs. Okay, but I like your thing with giving the ordinance, giving ticketing for them. I like that.
Yeah.
So it'd still get picked up. That would take care of the issue of people burning it or leaving it. And then they would have to pay an ordinance, so there comes my good old fine. I like it.
Yeah.
How hard would that be to do?
I mean.
I'm not gonna say it's hard, but it's gonna be.
Who's gonna write the mile, yeah.
Cause it's gonna have to be, it has
Well,
to be
But
Maddie
wouldn't you,
or,
wouldn't you?
well, I have the authority, Maddie does, I'd have to look at the ordinance.
I look at this from
Obviously, the
fourth grade kid's point of view, okay? First time you do it, it's gonna take a little bit of time. All you gotta do it is about 4 or 5 times. Word gets out. Doesn't happen anymore. You know what I'm saying? Well, they'll be on the Facebook, they'll be on Facebook. All right, and I can't believe it, but all it takes is just a couple signs. You know, you do a couple and it sets it up and people learn. More than that. Well, the blight, how many times has that been this year? But we're not finding, nobody's finding the blight. Have you been finding
Oh,
the
we've
blight?
got finding, yeah.
How's that going? Does that work?
Have you, did you see our revenues for ordinance fines this year?
I did, as you say, that, yeah, they're big.
Yes.
Have they been paying them?
Yeah.
Yeah. And our man down there is. After the three,
Mostly,
Doesn't it?
but.
That's all they do.
I mean, the salvage
More
yard,
than the weeds and stuff,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
all right.
it was amazing how fast you cleaned that up.
On a side note, I hope the planning committee does not give them a variance. You're right.
That's the boxes.
I already gave him all kinds of suggestions, and he had all kinds of excuses at our meeting where it was revoked. But it's amazing on how quick that got cleaned up. Once-
Well, that's my 2 cents worth is. Try it. Could we try it for what do you call it, the little cabbage?
If we're going to do that, my recommendation or preference would be to send out some kind of notice and say,
Prior to.
hey, yes.
Oh,
Prior
yeah.
to and say, this is the ordinance, if you have questions or you don't understand what the rules are, come see us, call, let me know, and then start
Yes.
doing it.
That's why
Well, yeah.
I'm sending out the.
In fact,
Like, you know, it's expensive as heck, and I hate paying postage, but newsletters. Got the information out there, went to every residence.
What if it
Those
goes,
kind of
if
things.
it saves us money in the long run, that $400?
I'm also due next month will be the first month. I'm gonna have a community coffee hour, conversation hour. So anybody can come see me at Starling, I'll buy them a coffee and they can ask any questions they have related to village. So they can always come see me there
Now,
too.
when you say you're buying coffees, you're not, you yourself are not buying the coffee.
I'm not buying fancy coffee. They're gonna get like black coffee. If they want something fancy, it's on.
She means out of your pocket,
Out
not
of
the
your,
village.
that's what I'm saying.
Oh, I was just going to pay for it.
No, you're not just gonna pay for it.
But my whole point is, we send, I know you like the paper, but we have social media. Our office hours are open. We send out the email newsletter every month. My door is always open. I'm adding that hour and it'll be the 3rd Tuesday of every month from 9 to 10. So
I
they
know,
can
but
come.
sadly,
see me.
perception is reality, and we get people that say, I didn't know, you know, you almost have to say, well, you don't have a reason not to know, because.
So you're
Because it
gonna
was mailed to
the
you,
hour.
even if they don't read it, I throw it away, it was mailed to you.
Yeah, I'm gonna start there and
Sometimes-
see.
People feel like you're more approachable and.
That's what I'm
like
hoping,
that.
is maybe they don't wanna come into the office here because it feels.
I'm taking you up on that coffee.
Yeah.
Bring my coffee while I
Yeah,
get.
as I'm sitting next to you.
Oh my God. Could you get a letter rounded around and then have us take a look at that?
Yes.
You want any assistance with any of this stuff? You
I just think the majority of the citizens want. I feel majority of people,
We do, but
you're walking around and
but some
talking.
people can only do so much. You can find me all I want, maybe I can't afford to paint my house, you know, and maybe I can't get out of the house, and drag this stuff to the road because. Like, you know, my leg's broken or something, you have to understand,
Well,
it's an
There are
imperfect world, you
situations
have to
like that,
make it.
right? There are
We have to be
situations like that.
understanding to a way, but yes, we have to enforce what we have.
Right.
you
And
know,
be
if we
clear
phone
about it.
call, say, good luck, I broke my bike. Can't get it up very now.
Is there
Someday,
anybody that
someday,
might be able to come and help?
Matt Knopfler. I only say that because Matt Knopfler had asked us, I remember him asking,
He
us.
did,
He said he'd like to have a list of people that need assistance, that, for example, house needs to be painted. They can't paint, can we get a group of,
Yeah, cause
volunteers to do that. There's
He
a
did say
A
that.
way to
Okay.
get your neighbors to help out.
Yeah,
and-
and he mentioned that, so I'm not trying to be a smart aleck,
Oh, no,
he said
no.
that, and I think that that's a great, I think that is a great.
But people
idea.
have to be comfortable with saying, hey, I can't do this, but I need help.
They're not doing it because they don't know that that's an option.
But some people have a hard time asking.
It's true, too.
But I mean, it would be nice if that was an option.
What are
for
you
people.
pot
That
calling the
was-
kettle black?
All right, thanks, guys. I'm discussion. We're expecting this on the agenda for next week, right?
The waterworks,
Yeah.
yeah, you get,